The title of today's class is God Will Turn It for Your Good. Shalom, Israel. I'm Brother Jacob. Life is full of moments that don't make sense. Painful betrayals, unexpected losses, disappointments, and struggles. You may have faced people who mistreated you, circumstances that seemed unfair, or seasons where you felt forgotten. But I want to remind you today, nothing in your life is wasted when you walk with God. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 50 and verse 20. The book of Genesis, chapter 50 and verse 20. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass as it is this day to save much people alive. These words were spoken by Joseph, a man who faced injustice, betrayal, and suffering, yet still saw God's hand working behind the scenes. Let's break this down and discover how God turns our pain into purpose. Joseph was his father's favorite, but that didn't stop trouble from coming. His own brothers betrayed him out of jealousy. They sold him into slavery, and he found himself in Egypt, far from home. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Let's jump to the book of Psalms, chapter 34 and verse 19. The book of Psalms, chapter 34 and verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. Righteous living doesn't exempt us from pain, but God guarantees deliverance. If you're in a season of suffering, it's not the end of your story. Joseph remained faithful, even in slavery, but just when things seemed to improve, Potiphar's wife falsely accused him, and he was thrown into prison. Have you ever felt like you were doing everything right, but things still got worse? Let's move on to the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 28. The book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. God is weaving every event in your life into a masterpiece. The pain, the waiting, the betrayal is all part of the plan. Even in prison, Joseph didn't stop using his God-given gifts. He interpreted dreams, and that ability eventually brought him before Pharaoh. Let's jump to the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 16. The book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 16. A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men. No matter where life places you, your gift is still active. It may not seem like much now, but God is preparing a divine opportunity for you. One day, Pharaoh had a troubling dream. Joseph was called to interpret it, and in a single moment, his life changed forever. He went from being a prisoner to being second in command over Egypt. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 75, verse 6 through 7. The book of Psalms, chapter 75, verse 6 through 7. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. People may overlook you, but when it's God's time to promote you, nothing can stop it. Years later, Joseph's brothers came to Egypt seeking food. They didn't recognize him, but he knew exactly who they were. Instead of taking revenge, he forgave them. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 14. The book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 14. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Forgiveness doesn't excuse the wrong, but it frees you from bitterness. Joseph saw that God was using even his enemies to accomplish his plan. Joseph realized something powerful. His suffering wasn't just about him. It was about saving millions of lives. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 1 and verse 4. The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 1 and verse 4. Who comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble. Your story will become someone else's survival guide. The very thing that you went through will help someone else find hope. Joseph's faithfulness led to divine restoration. His family was reunited. He lived in abundance, and his legacy remained. Let's move on to the book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 9. The book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 9. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. Don't quit now. Your season of blessing is coming, and when God restores, he does it abundantly. You may be going through a season of hardship right now, but God is working behind the scenes. Just like Joseph, you will look back and say, what the enemy meant for evil, God turned for good. Stay faithful in your trials. Keep using your gifts where you are. Forgive those who hurt you. Trust that God's timing is perfect. When it's all said and done, you will see the hand of God moving in ways you never imagined. Your trials are just part of the process. Your promotion is coming. If you've been struggling to trust God in your season of hardship, now is the time to surrender it to him. He is not finished with you yet. Shalom, Israel.